my mind, my faith is inseparable from my work in a lot of ways, just because for me, this feels so much like a vocation and like a ministry that a lot of what I do is seeing people the way that God sees them as best as I can, you know?
Absolutely.
To see their dignity and worth as a child of God and to be Christ to them by being that outstretched hand and that listening ear.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Paul Bryant. I am the founder and owner of Witness to Love Family Counseling Services. Here with one of our therapists, Emily, newly married. Can you give us your whole name, your new name?
It's Emily Murrieta-Molina.
Awesome. And how long have you been married now?
2 months now.
Wow, that's exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
How's marriage life been treating you so far?
The biggest blessing. It's been absolutely beautiful. I'm very grateful.
Awesome. So let's start with, tell us about where you're at today in your practice, in your life. What's happening for you?
Yeah, so I've been working at Witness for the past couple of years now.
Awesome.
And I'm coming up on my LPC in about a month from now.
Yeah.
So I'm just collecting those last client hours, and then I'll be able to be professionally licensed.
Awesome.
And really gaining a lot of confidence and really enjoying working with my clients.
What typical demographic do you work with at Witness?
I'm very open. I work with pretty much everybody.
Yes.
But typically I work a lot with women.
Yes.
Especially younger women, young adults, and also teenagers.
Awesome.
And I find that I connect very well with them.
Awesome. So you would say most of your clients are teenagers? Is that what you said?
Maybe about half, but most of them are women.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your story becoming a therapist. What inspired you to become a therapist in the first place?
Good question. So for me, I can't imagine a better job for me than counseling.
Awesome.
But it's honestly just a divine miracle that I got into it so early in my life and so smoothly.
Yes.
Just because I was a person who had no idea what I wanted to do with my life.
Yes.
For a long time.
Yes.
I, deep into college, didn't know what career I wanted. And at the time I was at ASU, I was studying psychology because I knew that I loved people and I wanted to learn about people and about myself too. But most of my family is in engineering. So it was kind of a foreign territory to me to explore this area of work.
Got it.
All I knew was I wanted to be in some kind of helping profession, to be working with people and making a difference.
Awesome.
So I just kind of started trying different volunteer positions and part-time jobs during school that explored different areas of different professions I could try that theoretically sounded like something I'd enjoy and be good at, like dabbling in teaching or social work. And they were all things that were beautiful, noble positions that stressed me out. They weren't for me, just because they weren't utilizing my God-given strengths and passion. So I kept searching.
Gotcha.
And one day I thought, okay, what about counseling? I don't know. Let me look into this. So I went online and just Googled Catholic counseling practice near me, and I found Donna Schmidt at Journey to Peace Counseling in Mesa. So I just went ahead and shot her an email, and I said, hey, Donna, could I come do some free labor for you? And in exchange, I can kind of check out what you do and learn about it. And I didn't know if anything would come of it at all. But she actually responded, and essentially she said, let me do you one better. I'm going to give you a job. Work for me as my receptionist.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
it was amazing. And I ended up working there for about 2 years because that was the spot where it just kind of felt like home. My favorite part of the job was definitely talking to people in the waiting room. And Donna put a little sign on my desk that said, "Counseling, 5 cents," which I think that's a joke from Peanuts or something.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
People would put nickels on it, and it made me so happy. But
that's cool.
I one day was chatting with a client very warmly, and Donna came out and said, "Oh, you know each other?" And we said, "No, we just met." And she was surprised And the next day she gave me a raise. And then we started talking more about what it would take for me to become a counselor. And I was intrigued. I felt like this is the one thing that I want now.
Yes.
But part of me was afraid because I was like 20, 21 around that time.
Yes.
I was young, and this is important work.
Yep.
I was very aware of how big of a responsibility it would be to hold people's deepest vulnerabilities and to work in that space. But I'll never forget, one day Donna told me, she said, you have the stuff naturally that it takes for this job.
Yes.
You have the personality and the things that can't be taught for this. And then she said, the rest you can learn. You can go and learn the rest, but you have the stuff.
Yes.
And that was the encouragement that I needed to be brave and take the leap. So I went straight into grad school out of undergrad. And
Yes.
it was the best decision I could have made.
And where'd you go to grad school again?
So I went to NAU. I
Okay.
went a couple hours from home and enjoyed the Pines.
Yes,
And-
beautiful. Yeah, you said this thing that I've witnessed in you working with you at Witness to Love is your love for people, right? You have a real genuine heart and care for people that really comes across in your therapy. I think that's exceptionally valuable.
Thank you.
What types of modalities, if you could explain a little bit or talk a little bit about what type of modalities you use working with your clients?
Like you said, since I like people and I really kind of just naturally see the best in people, that's just my disposition.
Yes.
My modalities flow out of that very naturally. So
Awesome.
I am very strengths-based and affirming. A lot of what I do is founded in person-centered therapy,
Okay.
which is that non-judgmental, empathetic connection with the person.
Yes.
And then everything flows from that. And I use some cognitive behavioral therapy, working with thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and behaviors, and how that all intermingles together.
Awesome.
And also, I like to use some solution-focused.
Okay.
And I also pull from some parts work, from
Yes.
internal family systems
Yes.
and narrative therapy, that kind of thing.
Yes. Very developed. Good, good. How would you share with us how your faith impacts your practice?
Definitely. So for me, in my mind, my faith is inseparable from my work in a lot of ways, just because for me, this feels so much like a vocation and
Yes.
like a ministry that a lot of what I do is seeing people the way that God sees them
Yes.
as best as I can, you know?
Absolutely.
To see their dignity and worth as
Yeah.
a child of God and to be Christ to them by being that outstretched hand and that
Wow.
listening ear.
Wow, that's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about maybe what has been something difficult you've encountered working with clients? Like one of more difficult situations.
I think for me, something that was difficult, especially in my first year or so, was knowing that I don't have the power to save people from their
Wow.
suffering.
Yes.
And more I've discovered the power of just being willing to sit with people in that so that they're not alone and so that they can like let those feelings come out and be at peace. But it was hard for me to know like, you're hurting and I can't stop it. Like, I can't
Yes.
make it just go away.
Yes.
But that's not what the job is.
Good. So let's have kind of a fun question here. So let's imagine you were going on a trip, like a trip to Flagstaff,
Okay.
and you could bring anybody you wanted with you, any historical figure, anybody. Who would you invite on your trip to Flagstaff with you?
Okay. I think lately I've been hearing a lot about people who had a chance to meet JP2.
Yes.
And they always say how, like, even just the way he looks at you changes your life. And so I would love to take him on a drive up to Flagstaff
Wow,
and
that'd be cool.
take a hike and talk about life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Good. So imagine there's a potential client looking at this podcast, right? What would you want them to know about you as a therapist?
I think talking about modalities, there's a whole bunch of words, right? Like this and that therapy.
Yes.
And I think, like, as an average client, you kind of want to know, okay, what does some of that mean? What does it look like? And I think for me, a big part of that is that I look at story a lot.
Okay.
That when I get to know a client, I'm getting to know their story with them, the story of what they've been through, where they've been, and what they're experiencing now. And I think for me, the story always makes sense.
Yes.
Which I believe is very good news. Like,
exactly.
when we're feeling lost in life and confused, it can feel like the story doesn't make sense. But when you piece it together and explore it together, it all starts coming together in a way that is really uplifting.
Awesome.
For example, if you're just focused on a struggle, you might be down on yourself about that. We're all our own worst critic.
Yes.
But if you put it into context and put it into the light, you might be able to see how it came to be because of ways you've been hurt or ways that you adapted to survive a hard situation in the past. And so not only does that create self-compassion, but it also creates enlightenment kind of a path forward where you can be empowered and start making choices that create healing.
Awesome. So you help people make sense of their story.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And
good,
it's
good,
like
good.
a side-by-side journey. We do it together.
Awesome. Where do you see yourself moving forward as a therapist? Is there anything you want to learn or anything you want to kind of add to your repertoire of tools moving forward?
Definitely. I'm always interested in learning. I feel I've learned so much every day on the job.
Yes.
And I want to keep learning more about internal family systems, definitely,
Awesome.
and about attachment theory, I think, because I see more and more how fundamental relationships are to the way that we feel.
Awesome. Praise God. So you mentioned something that struck me in your story, that most of your family or the rest of your family are engineers.
Yes.
Right? So how did that help you? Has that history helped you as a therapist? Kind of dealing with, it sounds like personalities that may be a little different than your own.
Sure, yeah. I feel like everything you experience in your life as a therapist ends up helping you in some way.
Yes. Yeah, you can employ it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I do have some understanding of people who are in more technical fields than me, the way their minds work maybe.
Yes.
Or maybe people who also grew up in more technical families, how their minds work.
So a question I didn't ask, what is healing for you? And how have you experienced healing yourself or in the therapeutic setting? How have you witnessed it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel I could think about that for so long.
Yes.
I think for me, a lot of healing is coming to truth through self-compassion.
Wow.
I find a lot of suffering, at least in the demographics I work with, comes out of lies about yourself.
Absolutely.
And a lot of that just comes down to a sense of worth or like feeling unworthy as a person of love and of good things. And so much healing flows out of healing that deep place.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. I find in my work that's at the core of it, right? Something happens to someone and they start to believe a lie about themselves, the world, or other people. And bringing people to the truth is healing. The truth itself is healing. Praise God. Good deal. I'm good.